What's up, guys? Today I got Tank the motherfucking tech over here. He is a reactor on YouTube. He is a roadie, or was a roadie, but he's doing a lot more things as well. He's also the electric callboy tour. Oh, I can't show my notes like that. I didn't realize I was like screen sharing.
No, you're good.
But he's also the tour manager for Electric Callboy, a husband, a father. Tank, did I leave anything out? I mean, I think you're just like a super guy, full of knowledge, and just one with the connection of like the metal and music scene.
I think the only thing I would correct you on is you said I was a roadie. I am definitely still a roadie.
You're still a roadie. Okay. I wasn't too sure. Like, I mean, I feel like we're all doing so many things. It's like, I don't even know what to call ourselves. Like, if somebody asked me today, it's like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm a content creator, I guess. I don't know what to say.
Well, yeah, that's always a funny. I think I'm okay with that now, but when I first started doing YouTube over like the pandemic and stuff, it was like when it became a full-time thing and people are like, yeah, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. And it
was harder back then.
Yeah, it always sounds so weird, but now I don't care. But no, like the term roadie is funny because I've always embraced that. Like by definition, a roadie is somebody that just tours with a band that's employed by a band. Like that's like
you're technically like the bitch that moves boxes inside and out kind of thing, right? That's what I think of when I hear roadies. So.
Well, but the thing is that there are some people in our industry that are like, they think that's an offensive word. They're like, I'm not a roadie, I'm a guitar tech. I'm like, no, you're a guitar tech, but you're also a roadie. Like somebody recently on a YouTube comment was like, oh, you've leveled up from a roadie to a tour manager. And I was like, well, tour managers are still roadies. Like,
yeah, I'm
not, like not all roadies are guitar techs. But all touring guitar techs are roadies. You know what I mean? Like it's so I always think it's funny to hear that argument in our industry because there are people that will just like die on that hill. They're like, roadie is so offensive. I was like, no, it's not. It's a term of endearment. It's like you work for a band and tour with them everywhere. Like you're a roadie.
I totally agree. And I think I get a little bit more of a clearer explanation of what that is because of seeing your journey through it. And that's the thing. It's like that's what I like about this, and what I'm excited to talk about on this this podcast, because like the way that I see you and your hustle culture. I don't know if that's even the proper way to say, but like you're a hustler as well. But like when I see you, you're sweeping, you're bringing stuff in, like you're actually still being that roadie thing. Where I would think of like a tour manager as a guy that just kind of sits in the office and kind of on the computer and like managing everything that's going on throughout the show. But I feel like you're doing a lot more than that.
I mean, I don't want to.
I'm not calling anybody out. I feel like everybody has their own groove.
No. Like, I don't want to take too much credit because I will say the tour that I'm on right now, like our crew is. Everybody says this about the tours they're on, but this is the first time I've actually meant this. Like, I really think like we have the best crew. And I'm not including myself. I'm just talking about me watching the other guys that we have out there. Like, it is the best crew. It's like the only time I've ever been on a tour where I feel like I don't have to babysit and like wonder if everybody's getting their job done right. Like they're fantastic. So there are a lot of situations where I am definitely in a production office and doing emails and doing logistical work and stuff like that. But I would say maybe I do a little more than a normal tour manager would do, just because I don't know. I just want to keep busy. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I'm better than anybody else. It's like, I go nuts if I don't have something to do. Like, so whether it's something that keeps me busy or a little thing that I can do for somebody else on the crew to just make their day that much easier, it's like I always just want to keep busy and do something.
I totally hear that. I'm kind of the same way. I feel like if I'm just sitting around, I don't like sitting around, to be honest. Honestly, I hate sitting on the couch as much as I love spending time with my wife and watching Netflix and binging a whole show for like an evening or something like that. It's like I feel like I can just get so much more work done if I'm working. But I feel like that whole balanced life kind of thing is like, I don't know. I don't like balance. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
I like to stay busy.
It's like I would like to say like, yeah, I don't like balance either, but I would love more balance. It's just impossible. Like, and a big thing about that was, having a kid, dude. Like, I mean, I admittedly, I've said this many times, like I've always been a very selfish person in the sense that like I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And the second you have a kid, that's gone. So it's like I had to adapt to that really quick because like I used to be able to pump out more YouTube content and stuff like that, and now it's like, now that I'm touring again full time, it's like that and being a parent is like what I'm focused on most. And then if I have time to do YouTube, I'm kind of doing it, on the side, because it's like, even getting home, dude, it's like right before I jumped on with you, like I took my kid to school, and like there's other stuff around the house that needs to be done, and there's emails that I have to answer. Like I guarantee you by the time I get done doing this with you, like I'll have like 30 or 40 new emails relating to tour that I'm going to need to get to, because it just never stops.
Yeah, I totally hear that. And I totally hear about the whole house thing, and like just, I feel like that's even a hard thing too. I mean, like I know you're all over the place and you have like your better half there, and we don't want to rely on those kind of things, and we want to help out as much as possible. Like that's me, like at nighttime, I'm like, even though I've worked all day, I might take a couple hours, eat dinner, watch a couple shows, spend some time with the wife, but then it's like, shit, stuff still needs to be done around the house, and it's like, so I'm up to like 11 or 12 in the morning or at night, just doing dishes and finishing up some laundry and stuff. But I could be doing more of that during the day, and I feel like I sometimes I chew off more than I can actually eat, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I just. Like I put too much on my plate where I'm like, I'm just so all over the place.
Sorry,
So, yeah, that was a weird analogy.
The phrase is bite off more than you can chew.
That's what it is. Yes. Something about food and plate and I got too much of that.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you, dude. And my wife is a very on top of things, like kind of if something needs to get done, she's doing it immediately. Where I'm kind of like, if we're at the house and the kids at school, I'm like, why don't you just sit down, take a break for a little bit? Like we can do this later, but like, the way her mind works is like, no, if I do it now, then I don't have to do it later. And I'm like, all right, fair enough, whatever.
No, I hear you, man. It's a double-edged sword too when you are working for yourself. And I think that we all kind of like, we want what's best for everything, and we want it to explode, and we want to do some really neat things with our career. And like when you say like, just to kind of touch on the whole being like selfish thing, I don't think it is to a degree, and maybe it's just because of like my past. Like I felt like I was never selfish in my own way until like I was out of like my marriage kind of thing, and like now like I've like found myself. I found like a nice passion that I'm like really passionate about. Yeah, have my wife a little bit involved as well, where it's like, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it now. And that's the thing. It's like, if I had kids, man, I'd be like, a wrench would be thrown in it type deal, and I would get nervous and scared about that stuff. But like, have a lot of respect for people that can definitely balance those things and still be a part of their life. So,
dude, it made me like, and I don't want to suggest that it's not great, because I will say being a parent is like, it's absolutely wonderful. I love my kid, and it's such a huge adjustment that, I recently, actually, I was thinking about like all of the people I've toured with years ago when I was younger that were already touring, that had a kid or multiple kids and stuff. And now I find myself thinking, I was like, wow, now I actually know how like kind of like stressful and difficult it was for them being on the road with their kids at home and stuff like that, because it is like this past tour, Ingrid, my daughter, handled it very well. Like we FaceTimed a lot and stuff, and she's kind of at the age now, she just turned 3 a couple months ago, so she's kind of at the age now where she understands that like, okay, daddy's on tour. She doesn't really know what I do, but she knows that I have to leave to go to work. But early on, like when I did my first tour back after she was born, like she was good for like a week, and then when we'd FaceTime, she'd be like, "Daddy, come home," and I'd be like, "Oh man," like, dude, it's heartbreaking. And you know, one of the things working for Electric Callboy now that makes it easier though is that all the guys in the band are around my age. Most of them are married and do have kids.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so they all like kind of go through the same things, and we kind of lean on each other on the road, where we're around each other so much that like even Ingrid has FaceTimed with the guys multiple. I mean, it's almost become a normal thing where in the morning, if I'm FaceTiming Ingrid, she's like, "Where's Kevin? Where's Nico?" And like one of them will jump on and say hi, and
it's Uncle Kevin and Uncle Nico.
Yeah, at this point. Yeah. we share videos of our kids with each other because we know how it is, and we understand. So that really helps a lot.
I bet there's a lot of like crying shoulder kind of things. Like I feel like if that was me, man, I'd be like sobbing on your shoulder, be like, dude, I want to go home and see my fucking kids. Like it's
there's been some of that.
Yeah.
I mean, on our tour last year in North America, because it was like 3.5 weeks or something. Like there, by the end of that, there was we were definitely leaning on each other a ton.
Yeah.
Like they were missing their kids, and because Europe is so much smaller than the U.S. that when they tour in Europe, they at least get some times where they might get a few days at home in between tour dates and stuff like that. When you're touring in North America, you don't really get that. Like, and especially for them being on a different continent, like they're not getting that at all.
Yeah.
So when you're touring North America, there's definitely less breaks and less time to get home, see family, stuff like that. So, like when I head over to Europe in a few days, I mean, half the time I'm there are days off in their hometown, because it's like, oh, we drive 4 hours to another country to do a show and then go back. Meanwhile, 4 hours from me is still in the same state.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, literally.
So yeah, the schedules are completely different depending on where you're touring and how much time you can get at home.
I understand 100%, man. Like I see your Instagram reels and stuff like that with your kid, like just waiting for you at the airport, and like just really touches my heart. And I think where it really kind of got to me as well, and like where I started to really notice, I had it in the back of my head, like, you see these bands, I know they have kids and it must be hard. And with Caleb from Beartooth, talking to him, I know he doesn't have kids, but he's got his wife on tour and stuff like that too. But like just being away from it, and like, you can see these guys tired, but like still hyped for what they do. But like hardcore Keem, when I met him in Toronto there, like he was like on his phone most of the time, like just being there with his kids, and we're still trying to make content and stuff. And it's just like, I can see it in his eyes. He just wants to go home, be with his kids. And that was his first tour. So it's like, it's gotta be a lot.
I think for a lot of us too, there's probably a certain age or amount of time you've toured where there's this flip in your head of what becomes important. So like when I was younger, in like early 20s, late teens, when I started touring, that's all I cared about. Like I just wanted to be on the road, man. Yeah. That's all I lived for.
Rockstar
and
life.
I think bands are the same way. But once you start getting older and you do maybe get married and then have kids and stuff like that, it's like that then becomes the most important thing. So it's like, while we absolutely, well, I don't want to speak for anybody else, so I'll just say I.
Okay.
While I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I can confidently say most other bands and crew members do, like, family is now the number one. So to me, it's, while I enjoy this line of work, I mean, this is kind of a means of survival too. It's what pays our bills. It's what keeps us going. Like, but I don't know. It's kind of that sacrifice of, spending less time with your family, but being able to provide. Cause like the reality is, like, the reason I don't have bad days on tour, and I always say this, like, to my crew, if somebody's having a bad day, I'm like, hey, we could be working much shittier jobs than this. Like we could be 9 to 5 sitting in an office somewhere, but we get to tour the world and be a part of shows that people come to. So I'm like, there's nothing to be in a bad mood about out here.
Yeah, I totally agree with that for sure. You get to tour the world, take it in at the same time, but also look forward to like your family time and stuff. So yeah, I totally get it, man. So how did you end up working with Electric Callboy? This is just bizarre. Like, to me, I mean, I know you from YouTube. We've met a couple times already, but like, it's just crazy to see that, you went from YouTuber to managing Electric Callboy.
So, before YouTube, obviously, I had been doing this for a long time. I've been touring since I was 18 years old, and I'm almost 37. But, when the pandemic happened and we all got sent home and I started YouTube and stuff, I honestly, it was when Ingrid was born, I actually didn't know if I was ever going to tour again. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to do YouTube and then find something to do at home, whatever. And I originally met the Electric Callboy guys because of doing a reaction on YouTube. It was literally like, and it wasn't right away. I think people thought I was in with them right away, and I wasn't. Like, I did the reaction to Hypa, and I think right now that's probably the second or third most viewed video on my YouTube channel.
Oh shit.
So like, they were aware of who I was from that. And then I did reactions to like everything they released around then. And I think if I remember right, one of them left a comment on one of my reactions where they were like, hey, well, maybe when we come to North America, you can guitar tech for us. And I didn't think anything of it. And then one day, this was probably like early 2022, I think. I got an email from their manager, and he was like, and you got to keep in mind at the time, I didn't know these guys. Like, I had some correspondence on Instagram, like exchanging messages here and there, but like we did not know each other by any means.
Well, by now, like that was probably like 2019 is probably when Hypa came out. So it's been a couple years even after that. No, maybe 2020 then.
It was 2020 because Hypa came out
during
like,
COVID. I know
during COVID. Yeah. So it was definitely 2020. And then, so like a couple years go by me doing reactions to these guys. And then one day I just got an email from their manager. And he was like, hey, the guys are planning a North American tour. And, you know, obviously we can't bring our entire German crew. So we were wondering if you wanted to come guitar tech for the guys because you've been guitar teching for the last, 6 years and they need a tech. And I was like, I talked to my wife about it. And I was like, hey, are you cool if I do this one tour? It's like 3 weeks, whatever. And she's like, yeah, that could be really fun. And she's like, that's kind of a wild story. Like you just reacted to these guys and now you get tour with them. And, as the tour was getting closer, and the tour I'm talking about is the one that they had to cancel in 2022 because Nico's health.
Oh, yeah.
So
and he had some stuff going on with his hearing and stuff, right?
Yeah. So Nico had like a throat infection that then turned into a jaw infection that then turned into an ear infection, and he's been battling that for a couple years now, and he's finally kind of getting to a point where he's good. But they had to cancel that whole tour because of that. So when that tour canceled, I was bummed out and I was like, bummer, whatever. And then 2023 rolls around and their manager reaches out to me again and is like, hey, we're planning another tour in like August and September of 2023. Would you do that one? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm in,
Same amount of time, like 3 weeks or so, or
it was like 3 weeks. There was like you came to one of those shows last year.
Yeah,
where were we? Danforth, right?
Danforth, yeah.
It was that tour. But about 6 months before that tour started, their manager started like sending information to me of like the crew list and all this stuff. Because in my head at the time, again, I was guitar teching.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the crew list, they had a guitar tech on there, and it wasn't me. And I called their manager, and I'm like, hey, so I see they're bringing their normal guitar tech over. And he goes, oh, yeah, we were actually just hoping you would tour manage. And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. And the funny thing is that I didn't tell them this at the time because one of the funny things about our jobs on the road as roadies, there is sort of a sense of like fake it till you make it. Not necessarily like you're like embellishing or lying about what you do, but if you don't know how to do something, a lot of the times I either, one, if I'm not confident I can learn it, I will tell somebody, or two, if I'm confident I can do it, I just roll with it. And that's kind of what happened. He was like, we were hoping you could just tour manage. And I was like, okay. And the reality is, full honesty, I had never like solo tour managed a tour ever. I've been an assistant tour manager on a lot of tours.
So did their manager have this information? Like you've done some, like you had experience, or like that's what I mean. Like you're in my mind right now in this story, you're a roadie or you're like doing guitar tech, but like I don't know if I was like the manager, I'd be like, if I didn't have that information. So did they have that kind of info?
No, he like vetted me. Like he asked what my touring history was.
Okay,
they didn't just see this guy on YouTube and be like,
let's just let him manage the tour.
And really quick, I'll derail this story. I had a funny thing happen. A few years back, I actually got an email from a manager from a band that's like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with these guys, but they're going on a quick run and they need a guitar tech. Can you do it? And I was like, I actually said this to the guy. I was like we got on a phone call and we were talking, and I was like, how do you know that I'm not full of shit? And he's like, what? I was like, I mean, you found me on YouTube, right? And he goes, yeah. I was like, how do you know that everything I've said on YouTube just isn't a fucking lie and I've actually never toured before?
I just Googled everything before every video.
Yeah, he was like, well, he goes, you have though, right? I was like, yeah, I've never lied about anything on there. But I'm like, how do you know? People on the internet lie about shit all the time. You might be potentially hiring a dude that has no idea what they're doing. And he's just like, I could tell he was so thrown off by that. But I was like, I can't do the tour anyways, so I'm gonna have to respectfully say no. But like, yeah, don't just see a dude on YouTube that says he knows what he's doing and hire them for a professional tour.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I do YouTube too, and I do, this and that. It's like, I don't have experience doing this stuff, but I could say so much shit.
But yeah, their manager, like, we talked about my touring history and stuff like that, and he was just like, could you tour manage this tour? And I was like, yeah. And honestly, the last time I had been an assistant tour manager on a tour,
you were the tour manager.
Well, no, but
okay.
Well, yes and no. I mean, dude, if you've been an assistant tour manager, you can figure out how to solo tour manage, no problem. But it was like 2013. It had been 10 years. So I was just like, I'm going to do this. And that's how I am when I'm presented with a challenge or something. Like, I'm going to do this. So I just rolled with it. I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And yeah, as the tour went on, it was like, part of tour management is advancing everything. So before the tour actually starts, I mean, I'm working at home for 2 to 3 months. Like, especially with an overseas band coming to North America, I'm the one that gets all the quotes for rentals for buses, gear, transportation, whatever. Like, most of the things you saw on stage when you saw our show is all rentals from North America. Like, the video, the lighting, the staging, the drum kit, like, that's all stuff we have to rent.
Oh, you don't even have he didn't have his own drum kit for that?
No.
Oh, shit. No, I thought that was just a thing. Like, you just have your own
bands, shit. No, most bands, when they go overseas, they'll bring over their guitars for sure. And now in the day and age we're in, where a lot of people are using digital amps, it's easy to fly that stuff over. But I mean, back in the day, if you're going overseas, you're just renting amps and cabinets from that continent that you're in and carrying them with you for the whole tour. So they flew over with their guitars, their Neural DSP guitar racks. And then I think David brought his cymbals and his pedals, like, for his drum kit. But that kit he was using was a rental in the States. And the cool thing about, being an endorsed artist with a company, David's endorsed by Pearl, they can just contact Pearl and be like, hey, can you get me, like, my exact size kit that I normally use in Europe as a rental over here? So while it wasn't his kit, it was as close as possible to what he normally plays anyways. But a lot of those things are things that, I have to be involved with lining up. So on this specific tour, it was like, we had a bus, we had a semi truck, the video wall, the lighting, the audio. And then I have to advance shows. And that is getting all the contracts from our booking agent, getting all the production contacts from the venue, and contacting them and going through every little detail of our show. Like, what we're bringing, what kind of power tie-ins we need to power our lighting and video, what's in our hospitality rider, what time do we need to load in, when are we doing security meetings, when are we doing sound checks. It's everything, dude. So admittedly, I love it. I love doing logistical things. So I've got, dude, just Excel spreadsheets up the ass, and we've got an app called Master Tour that we use for everything. And like, I actually love advancing shows and putting all that information into stuff to get to my crew and stuff like that. And then I actually think once the tour starts, it becomes easier because all the information is pretty much done. And at that point, it's just being on the road and making sure that everything goes to plan as far as you've planned it with the venues. Now, obviously, things on the road change and you have to be on the ball with stuff like that. And there are little things that happen. But I would say the bulk of my work is actually done before we actually go on a tour.
Rightfully so. I mean, it takes a lot. It's like planning a trip to like wherever you're going, and you're literally planning a trip. And you're planning a trip for how many guys are on your crew? Like fucking 20 people or so?
We had 20 out with us on this tour.
Yeah, like that's the thing. And you have to do that for everyone, right? It's not even just like Nico and the band and stuff. It's all the crews. So do you have to like book their flights and everything too? Like all that stuff or?
So their management actually every tour is different. That's the thing too.
Okay.
There is no like there is no specific way to do it anymore. There are some tours where the tour manager would take care of all the flights and stuff like that for sure. But in this specific case, their management took care of their flights from Europe to North America. For hotels and stuff, I actually use a travel agent because the travel agent that I use used to be a tour manager and then started his own travel agent business. So he knows all the good hotels that have bus parking, stuff like that. And with a travel agent, their fee is built into the price of the room. So it's actually very cost efficient, in my opinion.
And you got someone that has tour experience as well, so they know what they need for that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And it's like he knows all the hotels that are in good areas for days off, where they allow bus parking, stuff like that. And so, yeah, his name's Mitch. He's like, dude, unreal good.
Shout out to Mitch.
Yeah, shout out Mitch.
He's gonna be busy,
dude. He is. It's crazy. I don't understand how a guy like him balances stuff, because where I'm a tour manager and I have to worry about the band members and the crew and what's going on with them, this guy has, like, he's the travel agent for so many tours. So at any given time, at any point in the day, he could have anybody just calling him and being like, I have a problem. Like, and hotels always have problems. Like, I don't know how this is a thing. Hotels always have problems, dude. Like, this guy, to make things easy, goes out of his way to do credit card authorization forms so that when I get there, all I have to do is give them my ID and be like, okay, we've got like 16 rooms today. Here's the thing. And half the time they have no idea what's going on. They're like, oh, well, we need the credit card. I'm like, we already sent you an authorization. And they're like, oh, nobody gave it to me. So luckily, Mitch is smart enough to do a Dropbox with all this stuff. So all I have to do is get on my phone and be like, here it is, right here. But it's just, there are so many little things. I mean, one of the things too that like people don't think about, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but it's like when people go to shows, I don't think they really think about all the logistics that they go into making those shows happen. I mean, we've put on some shows before where like, dude, the day could be so stressful and everything could go wrong, but the crowd would never know because the band goes on and puts on a good show. Like going into Canada with a semi truck full of gear, dude, the amount of paperwork that goes into that, I'm not kidding you. When we did our show in Chicago, I had to print out 210 sheets of paper from my printer to have ready for our semi truck driver to cross into Canada, because you have to have a carnet with every piece of your gear that's in that truck listed, how much it's worth, how much it weighs, the country it was manufactured in. You have to get a broker to get everything stamped, like, and then, yeah, it's insane.
It's all your merch as well. Then you pay duties on that, and
we don't even bring it in.
Oh no, okay,
no, we don't. Our last show in the U.S. with merch, we had our box truck driver just drive to the next U.S. show and had new merch printed in Canada, because it's cheaper to do that than to try and bring in all your merch.
That's brilliant.
Like, dude, smaller bands, like when I was in a smaller band or working for smaller bands, dude, once we learned how bad it was to pay duties and customs to bring merch over the border, we would go to like Detroit, and if we were going to Toronto, and we would get like a cheap, like quality in $40 a night hotel room, and we would dump all of our merch from the trailer into that hotel room and then cross into Canada and then just pick it up when we got back.
That's brilliant.
It's not worth like bringing it. I would suggest no band ever try and bring merch either from the US to Canada or Canada to the US. Like, just get it printed locally in that country, because it's such a hassle and it's so expensive.
There you go. I got to clip that 45 minutes. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good information.
And then this last tour went so smooth though, that the only issue I had was actually a Canadian border crossing where our truck driver called me at like 3 a.m. And when a truck driver is calling at 3 a.m, it means something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I was in my bunk half asleep, and I'm just like, oh, what's up? And he's very calm, and he's just like, hey, you wanted me to go to this specific crossing, right? I was like, yeah, that's where we filled out our carnet for you to go to. And he goes,
Yeah, I'm in
okay.
jail.
Yeah, he's like, no, he was like, they're not letting me back into the US because my paperwork has the wrong border crossing port of entry code on it. So
Oh,
like
no.
on border crossing paperwork for semi drivers, it never says the name of where they're crossing. They have like 4-digit
Numbers.
codes for every port. And that's something I don't know off the top of my head. So I
didn't
wouldn't
know
have caught
either.
that. But he's like, yeah, they're telling me I got to turn around from Vermont and go back to New York and cross in there. And I'm like, no, sit tight for a few minutes. I'll get this fixed. And at first I thought that was my error. I was kicking myself for like 30 minutes where I was like, man, I can't believe I screwed this up. And then I checked all my paperwork and I was like, oh, I didn't screw this up. Our brokerage company had a typo on the port number on the paperwork.
Was it like one number off or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I had to call them at like 4 a.m. and just blow them up nonstop until they answered and been like, hey, I need you to go in your system and change this right now. And they were like, and credit to them, they did.
Wow, that's good.
So they let him in, but it's like, if that's my only problem on a tour, like
it's a good day.
yeah, it's easy. And that literally was the only problem on this latest tour we had. I've never had something go this smooth. And I mean, we were doing shows in like New York and shit, dude. And like usually New York is like the worst day ever.
Oh, is
Like-
it? Okay, I don't know. Yeah. Why though? Like why what's it different from like being in New York to like Canada
if you're
or
doing
something?
a show in New York City, most of the venues in New York City are drop and go. Like you can't keep your bus and truck in the city.
Oh.
And depending on where your venue is, sometimes you can't even get a truck into the city because, Manhattan Island, they have to go through the tunnel and stuff like that.
See, I've never been in New York, so I don't know too much. Like I used to like play Pokemon Go and like kind of rig it and like and drop myself just to go catch Pokemon. But and I see like the main park there, but that's it.
Yeah. So one of the biggest reasons is transport logistics. So
Yeah.
I've done shows in New York City where we've literally had to park in New Jersey at 4 a.m. and cross-load our entire semi-truck into like 3 box trucks, and then the box trucks go into the city to load at the venue.
And then drive back.
And then
park.
at the end of the show, those box trucks drive back to New Jersey, and then you load all your gear back into the
Oh
semi.
my God.
Most venues won't allow you to keep your buses at the venue. So when the bus pulls up in the morning, everybody has to get off and get everything they need for that day off and go into the venue. And then the bus goes back to New Jersey for the day.
So you're getting a shuttle basically.
Yeah. And then Local One with the union IATSE crews, like the stagehand unions in the US, Local One is notorious for being like one of the strictest unions in the US. And depending on what crew you get, it can either be a very stressful day or a very easy day. And everything just aligned perfectly on this one. So our show that we did in New York City on this run, it was a new venue that fortunately allowed you to park your bus and semi at it all day. And the union crew we had was fantastic. So it was like, I even told the production manager at this venue, I was like, dude, I've been dreading this day, and this was the easiest day I've had in New York in my entire life.
What do you say to that? Like, was he like proud of it and all that?
I think he kind of knew because he was like,
he fixed the problem.
Yeah, no, I think he kind of knew because like their venue is newer and does allow for bus and truck parking, and most of the other venues don't. So he knows that people are stoked like when they come in there because they don't have to make other arrangements. Like,
That's very
but those are the little things that we have to deal with. It's like I was so happy I didn't have to tell my crew that they had to wake up at 3 a.m. to cross load into box trucks and stuff. Like, they were stoked about that.
That's awesome, dude. I think I love this conversation. Like, as much as it's like so like analytically like what you do and everything, it's like I think it just kind of draws back to the fact that like like concert goers don't see this kind of information, and I think that's why I'm like really like dialed in here to like what goes involved. Like I've seen a lot of things. Like I've been backstage, I see things rolling in and out, but I didn't realize like all of this logistic stuff that's going on. Like it's nuts. But I'm glad you guys had a wicked tour for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, I mean, concert goers don't need to know that stuff.
But I think
like,
they would have a lot of respect, I think, more in that sense. Like, for
Yeah.
me, if I knew this information, if I did have, like, you know, if I wasn't doing YouTube, I probably wouldn't care. But, like, if somebody's watching this on this podcast and, like, is really getting it, I think they would just, you know, enjoy the show just a little bit more. Like, you know, your favorite band is just working so hard to, like, be there for you guys.
Yeah, and even the little things that you see, like, crews do that they catch, like our show in Toronto that you were at. I mean, there were a couple things during that show of like little technical things that happened where it's like one of our techs or somebody was just on it immediately, where like I remember I think Daniel, our bass player, in the middle of one of the songs, like his in-ear pack flew off of his belt, went across the stage, and that means he has no in-ears while that pack is off. And it's like, you know, one of our techs runs out and grabs it and, you know, gets it back on his belt and plugged in and turned on. And it's like, those are the little things that like some people watching the show may not even notice that happened.
Right.
But I always say too, like, you know, the concert goers don't need to know that stuff, but that's one of the reasons I try and talk about this stuff on YouTube, because I do feel like it is pulling back the curtain a little bit for people to see it. But there's also a sense of like, I don't need the bands I work for to know how things are operating either.
Right.
Like, I try not to bother the bands with anything. Like, if something goes wrong, the last person I'm going to tell is the band, because I don't want them to stress about anything. Like, the whole job of a crew on the road is to make sure that everything just works out and happens. So all the band has to do is walk on stage and perform without any other worries. I will say Electric Callboy specifically is more involved and hands-on than almost any band I've ever worked for. And that's not a bad thing. It's like they truly care about their business. And like every member of that band has something that they do. Like, you know, Daniel, their guitar player, he produces and mixes all of their music. And then their other guitar player, Pascal, like him and his brother own a video production company, and they do all of their music videos. And like everybody in the band is doing something that has something to do with the business. And in the long run, it actually cuts down on costs. Like they run their band very well. That's way good. Better than a lot of other bands I've been on tour with.
See, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because I've had this conversation with Eric from Square Up Studios, which is also the drummer of Face Yourself, and did a podcast with him, and he's telling me, like, you know, the breakdowns of this kind of stuff, and like everyone has a part to cut down costs, and it's like now we only have to bring, you know, X amount of people instead of hiring this many people. And it's like I have my own video, this and that, we have our production, we have guys that know their sound stuff and that, and it just works out in that way. So do you think that's like the way to go if you were to like build a band kind of thing like that?
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think that's where a lot of younger bands that are building kind of shoot themselves in the foot, is that listen, there's a huge allure of wanting to like look like a rock star. It's like, it looks cool to be in a bus. It looks cool to have a huge crew. But I've seen a lot of like lower to mid-sized bands that are growing start pulling the trigger on that stuff before they should, and it kind of ruins them financially. Like bands that make that jump from a van and trailer to a bus or something when they really probably can't afford it, or you know, bands that start hiring tons of crew people before, you know, they really should be. I mean, dude, there are some bands that I've worked for where I know for sure at the end of a tour, like they paid me more money than they actually got to bring home themselves, because they have so much overhead cost that it's like, you know, you got to think about these band members. This is their business, and they have a lot of overhead costs, everything. You're talking, you know, printing merch, transportation costs, rental costs, the cost of your entire crew. And then whatever's left at the end of the tour is what you've actually made.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you could put like a mill into a tour kind of thing. And like you're only bringing in like $25,000 for that tour kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, my suggestion to a lot of younger bands is like, yeah, it does look cool and it feels great to have those things, but I would say stay in a van and trailer or a bandwagon and trailer as long as you possibly can. Tech your own stuff as long as you possibly can. Like, because it inevitably gets to a point where bands can't do everything themselves. And when it finally gets to that point is when you should actually try and hire somebody. Not when you think it would be convenient, but when
it's like affordable as well at the same time.
It's not only is it affordable, but like, for example, if you're like a 5-piece band and everybody is doing so much stuff that, you know, you don't have time to get other things done during the day, then maybe think about hiring a crew person for that. Like, I always tell people the first thing I would hire as like a small band is a merch person. That would be one of my first hires, because you always want somebody at your merch table. You want somebody that's taking care of that stuff. Because, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to shows where, like, a band has a full crew, like tour manager, front of house, lighting director, techs on stage, but they don't have a merch person, and then nobody's ever at their table.
Yeah.
It's like you go to buy something and nobody's ever there. And I know it's like the band's like, well, if we do it ourselves, and maybe we'll make more money. Like, yeah, but you're never there.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is to hire a merchandise manager. After that, probably a front of house engineer, so you can get that consistency of the sound every night. You get a person that knows your mix and that can make you sound good every night. Past that, probably like a tour manager. And a lot of younger bands have, people that combo as tour manager and front of house audio engineer, stuff like that. But I don't know. There's just a lot of there've been a lot of tours where I've been on where I've been like, why is that person even out here? Why aren't one of you guys doing that? You're wasting money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that's a big thing. It's like, I understand how expensive touring is, and I empathize with bands with that. But when I see some bands complain about the cost of things, I was like, some of this is your fault. Because when I talked to Kyle and Leo from Brand to Sacrifice, like on my podcast, dude, they're a van and trailer band, and they're like, we've never lost money on a tour. He's like, we've been very smart about everything we've ever done. And dude, if they can make that happen, like, every band should be able to make that happen.
Yeah.
But they don't.
I think I've had this.
Everybody is good with money.
It's true. Yeah. And I think I always bring this up too as well. It's like, I know like a lot of people don't like Attila and stuff like that for their own reasons, but it's like Franz knows his like financial stuff as well. I feel like they were like, back in the day, I feel like I saw something on like AP magazine or something like that like Attila was like one of the like successfully financially metal bands out there at the time or something like that. And because of like they run a tight ship kind of thing. So yeah. I mean, dude, if nothing else about that guy, he is a businessman. That's for sure. Then that's where I would like to see him like reopen Warped Tour.
Yeah.
It's like maybe he could make it happen. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, it is very difficult to be in a band, but if you're smart about it, you can make it work. Yeah. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's Signs of the Swarm. I did like a podcast with David on there, and like I was at that point of like I've done like Motionless in White, been in the tour bus and stuff. I'm like, well, and like Upon a Burning Body was in their van doing the podcast. And I'm like, I thought these guys were a lot bigger, to be honest. And I'm like, well, I want to just like go to your like little tour bus or whatever you got. He's like, oh man, he's like, I don't want to be in there right now. Let's just go back into the green room and we'll fight with the fucking sound check kind of thing. I'm like, fuck it, let's go. So I totally understand. And this guy's like fucking 6'2", and like, yeah, it wouldn't be good to like do that kind of stuff in a van. But like, I commend them because of what they're doing, and he talked about it as well. He's like, we make more money because we're doing that, and we need to do that to progress and do more bigger things. So it's good shit.
I mean, there at some certain point, like if you want to be financially successful, just I would say a lot of it is probably ego. It's like, like I said, it looks cool to be on a bus and looks cool to tell everybody how big you are, but it's like, let your ego down a little bit and just, kind of ride it out. Like I said, if you can make it work in a van and trailer, do it, because it's not as comfortable, but you're going to make a lot more money. Cause like, dude, I'll tell you right now, tour bus costs right now are at an all-time
high. And even in COVID, I heard it was high. I think that's why Architects had to like cancel their Canadian tour stuff as well.
There's a lot of bands canceling tours right now because the cost of things is higher than it's ever been. You got to think, I would say not anymore, but the benchmark pre-COVID for the cost of a tour bus was you're looking at $1,000 a day. Like for the driver pay, the rental, all that stuff. That was pre-COVID. We're not including like gasoline or anything. Just if you want to rent a bus and you're going to be on tour for 30 days, you're going to be spending $30,000 bare minimum for your driver and the rental on the bus. Now, I'd put that closer to $2,000.
Whoa.
Like, that's depending on where you're getting a bus from, because there's shortages everywhere. Even Bandwagon, dude. Like, Bandwagon, which is like the mid between the van and the bus. Like, dude, their prices are outrageous right now because
They probably
Supply
know
and demand.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
like the
supply
housing
and
system
demand,
right
dude.
now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild. Oh man, I love hearing about it. Don't get me wrong. Let's roll off into another thing. Like I know you guys have been crazy and had like such a smooth tour and stuff like that, but you guys also had the chance to run out to Japan, and with Electric Callboy's latest release with Babymetal, a lot of cool things going on with that. Why don't you tell us about that? How was your trip to Japan and everything?
Dude, it's the best. Like, probably actually, it is my favorite country I've ever been to. Like, it's just a phenomenal culture. The people, the food.
I got chills when you said that because I just want to go
Dude,
back.
it's just so great. And like, fortunately, we got like a day off the first day we were there, so we got to just walk around and just experience the city. And
you guys jet lagged at all? Where'd you fly?
You know,
you went to Montreal, right? And then
yeah,
right
we
to
went
Japan?
from Montreal to Tokyo, direct flight.
That's a long flight.
So here's what's weird. I wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Because I actually timed my sleep on the plane, but no matter how much you sleep on a plane, it feels like you didn't anyways. But the guys, like the German guys, the whole crew and band, they were like, I woke up one morning at like 7 a.m. when we were there and had like 300 missed text messages on WhatsApp because they were all up at like 3 in the morning, just not able to sleep. And they're like, this sucks. Like, super jet lagged. I was okay. But dude, it was just such a phenomenal time. Like the first day off we had there, we were just walking around Shibuya and just checking stuff out, and met up with one of Babymetal's guitar players. That, you know, because he's over there all the time. Mm-hmm. For anybody that doesn't know, like Babymetal's entire band right now are like North American dudes. So, met up with one of their guitar players who's over there a lot, and he took us to like some really good ramen spot, and we walked around the city with him for a while, and then the next day, I had a bunch of like, I had to get the band to media stuff, and then the crew had a production day at the arena, and then we had the 2 shows at the arena, and then we flew home the next day. But it was just such a cool experience, and you know, doing that festival, it was, you know, Babymetal's festival. Mm-hmm. I was super excited about it because of the lineup. Like the lineup itself was, you know, you had Metalverse and Asterism opening, and Asterism is a 3-piece band from Japan that are all the people in the band are like 20, and they're like the most ridiculous musicians ever. And I discovered them on YouTube from people recommending them like a few years ago. So I was like so stoked to finally see them.
That was sweet.
And then you had Bill Murray, and like I've been dying to see Bill Murray live forever. And what was a really wild moment to me was like I saw Johnny, the singer for Bill Murray, walking backstage. And I don't like to bother artists too much, so I kind of gave him like a little nod when I was walking by him in the hallway at the arena, and he's just like, "Hey, are you TankTheTech?" And I'm just like, "Get out of here, really?"
No way.
So we ended up having a really good conversation backstage, and then like Polyphia, like finally getting to see them live, and
that's dope.
And what I will say is like, Babymetal's entire crew and their production was just like one of the most tightly professionally ran things I've ever seen. And like, I think that's more of like the Japanese culture thing where it's like, it seemed like less of a concert and more of a theatrical production. Like
I can see that with Babymetal.
Like, everybody knew where they had to be at specific times, and it was run so well, and they were so nice to us. Like it was just such a wild time. And I will say one of the craziest things to me, which was culture shock, was crowds in Japan. They are so respectful that like when we're doing changeover, and you were at the show in Toronto, so you know, when we're doing changeover between the show, all the crew guys on stage have their in-ears in, and we've got, you know, we can hear each other. And at one point, like, you know, going back to the show in Toronto, it's like, dude, people are screaming. You got the drunk guys, and fuck yeah, woo! Like, you know,
singing along to the house music. And
yeah, I took my in-ear out, like while we were doing changeover. You could hear a pin drop in that place.
What?
Because the crowds in Japan are so respectful of everything going on that when they see people working, they literally just, they stand there in silence out of respect and just let you work. But I will say they go crazy during the show. Like we had like crowd surfing, circle pits, mosh pits, like, and then when a song ends, they explode for like 3 seconds, just cheering and clapping and everything, and then all of a sudden, all at once, just silence again.
No
and
way.
when the band is talking to the crowd, they're just dead silent, like listening intently to the band. Like it's just wild, man. It's like something I've never experienced, especially in North America. Like,
are we just rude over here? I don't know.
I mean, it's just a different culture.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I wouldn't.
I've been to Japan as well. Like they're very clean, neat, and like organized and stuff as well. So it kind of doesn't surprise me at the same time. But like, just the culture shock there is just kind of wild.
Blown away by how clean Tokyo was. I was like, you couldn't even find a cigarette butt on the ground anywhere. Like it was so clean. I think the best way to describe Japan for me is just efficient. Everything is so efficient. Even going to the train station, like I figured out their train system in 2 minutes. And meanwhile, I've been to New York more times than I can count, and I still can't figure out the train system in New York.
Oh,
like,
no.
it's ridiculous. But it was just a great time. And then, of course, with the new single, like they performed it live together. And at the first show, I think that song had only been out for a day.
Yeah,
like,
and it had a lot of views on that video too.
Dude, but the crowd response to a song that had never been played live, because Nico and Kevin joined Babymetal on stage with their band.
Yeah.
And they extended that intro loop, like
sick.
like kind of like that beat in the beginning, and so that they could get on stage, and it hyped up the crowd. And like, while just the beat was going and that's it, like the whole crowd immediately, and it was like 20 something thousand people, started doing the ooh, ooh, like, and I'm just like, dude, this song's been out for 24 hours and this whole crowd is already ready for it. Like it was insane. And I had a moment where I was watching Kevin and Nico perform from the side of the stage, because I had to get them ready to the stage on time and stuff. And I almost felt like a proud parent. I was like, this is just so wild to see. Like, I don't take I don't claim accomplishments for things that the bands I work for have done, but I have a lot of pride of being a part of that organization when things are happening. And yeah, I'll tell you, I'll fully admit, when they first showed me RATATATA, I was like, all right, this is fun. Like it's a novelty crossover, like whatever. I would have never expected the response that it has gotten, dude. It's been like floating back and forth between being like the #1 trending song on YouTube Music, like Spotify plays, YouTube music video views, like it's insane. So to be a part of that release with them and to see how it's going has just been like wild, dude.
Proud dad moment.
Yeah, it's just wild. And like, I even told Pascal the other day, like when I got home, and they're back in Germany now, and I was texting him and I'm like, dude, I am so proud of you guys. Like, it's going back to what you brought up, reacting to them, not knowing anything about them like 3 years ago, 4 years ago at this point. And now not only working for them, but have built really good friendships with these guys. It's like, you can't make this shit up, dude. It's one of those things that you would never have expected something like this to happen ever. Like the connection. And it's like, it's just, I can't put into words like just how fun it is. Like,
that's crazy. I love the passion too, like seeing you like talk about it. Like I can tell like you're super like I almost see like your eyes kind of watering up, like it's almost like an oh shit moment. Like I like, not to make this sound like rude or anything, but like that oh fuck I made it moment kind of thing. Like, and for how far you've come and what you've had to sacrifice and not being around your family and stuff like that to get to that point, dude. I've had those moments where I'm like, holy shit.
In the reality too, and I want to, I say this humbly, and I just say it because I want to make a point. Like, I've worked for bands 50 times bigger than Electric Callboy.
Oh, okay.
But there's something about this tour that it's just the most fun I've ever had with people. Like again, yeah, I've worked way bigger tours with way bigger budgets with way more famous bands, and I would not do it again if I got the offer, just because I just love being with these guys so much.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell as well, like even I think like everybody that we were hanging out with, like side stage there with everybody in Toronto, they were talking about the lighting and everything and like how much production. They said that like this is the best lighting that they've seen in a long time, and like stage production, the big wall thing was just crazy to see. I didn't even know they had that in house there, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's what's crazy about that show is we didn't even use our own video because they had that in-house available, and we were just like, yeah, let's use it. But lighting wise, that's all their lighting director, Patrick. Like, and the crazy thing about Patrick is he's young. I think last year in Toronto at Danforth, that night at midnight was his birthday. So we went to like the pub next door and kind of just hung out afterwards. I may be getting this wrong, but I think he turned 26 or 27.
Oh, shit.
Like, that's pretty young for touring, and he's one of the best lighting directors I've ever seen. Not only in terms of the show that he programs, but he's so intelligent with it. And like any other typical lighting guy, like you give him more room in the truck than he needed, and he's going to bring out more lighting, and that's what he did on this tour. But like, dude, he makes it look good, man. Like, he's really, really into it. He spends a lot of time with the music and just programming and trying to get everything perfect. And going back to the band, like they're very involved as well. Like all the video content you see on that screens is like stuff that like Pascal has put together, and like they're very methodical on like exactly what they want to happen in the show at certain times.
So and that's, I like hearing that because I feel like it feels more like art to them at the same time. It's not just like, yeah, we just hired a guy, this is what they told us to do. And I had this conversation with Chris Motionless as well when they came through Toronto, and I was very interested in that because like I've seen like We Came as Romans, they're very like a part of their lighting packages and stuff like that to see what's going on. So Chris is actually involved with a lot of that as well. So like I was kind of surprised that you guys didn't have like the thing that came down from the ceiling and do all the lights and stuff, but
I mean, there's a lot of production things in Europe that just, I mean, it's way easier to do all that stuff in an arena than in a nightclub in Toronto.
Sure.
You know?
I know, it's a nightclub. People get blown away by that. They're like, I didn't realize it was like a nightclub kind of thing.
I didn't.
Like,
I mean, well, before I advanced it, I didn't. But when they gave me like the floor specs and the tech pack for the venue, I was like, oh, this is a legit nightclub.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a cool vibe. But yeah, I mean, you got to think, with stuff like that you were bringing up, it's like, do we fly that over? Do we get more stuff made here? Like, they finally just got to a point where we actually have had some stuff made that we're storing in the US for every time they come here. Like a lot of bands rent everything when they go overseas, but some bands will actually have things purchased and then just keep them in storage lockers before, like, so every time they come back, they just pick it up and they have it. And we finally got to that point now where we do have some things that we're starting to put in storage here so that when they do come back to North America, we just have those things ready to use rather than having to rent them.
That's cool. That's a really good idea as well. I mean, as long as you can like afford it and everything, then yeah, 100%. That's really cool, man. I know we've been talking about a lot of this kind of stuff.
Oh, dude, I mean, you get two guys together that can talk their faces off. What do you think's going to happen?
Exactly. It's oh, man, it's wild, man. But like for like someone that like does all this, like. I guess like what kind of credentials would somebody need to like, I guess, take on something like this? Like, I don't know. Like, is it just kind of like trial and error? Like, is there like a school for this kind of stuff? Like if there was somebody like looking into doing this, I think when I came into your stream last night or yesterday, you were kind of talking about it. Like you had like a couple people kind of like wanting to like shadow you and stuff like that. Is that like kind of the go thing to go for that? Or you just got to learn the ropes and go through the mud?
There's no good answer. I know that sounds horrible, but it's like there is no good answer at all. Like I can give you, well, let's go back to what you said. You said, are there schools? There are schools for certain things that you can do on the road.
Yeah, I know that for like audio and video and stuff like that. And
audio, lighting. But there are some like Full Sail University down in Florida. They actually do have like touring production courses you can take and stuff like that. But the majority of people that are touring on the road, I would be willing to say, just learned the shit and got on the road. Like, again, like I can't speak for everybody's situation, but mine, I can tell you like how it started for me. I was like in a band for, years, and I just got tired of it because we were just broke all the time and it wasn't fun anymore. And one of the bands we were touring with at the time was like, well, we're thinking about like expanding our crew, and if you honestly don't want to like tour in your band anymore, we would hire you, because like we've gotten to the point where we want to hire like a full-time merch person. And and then they also found out that I knew how to do lighting, because when I was home in Chicago, I worked at a venue and I knew how to do lighting. So I got hired by a band to go on the road and do merchandise and lighting. And the funny thing is, like, I didn't know shit about merchandise. Nothing. Like, it was just like trial and error, learn as I go.
Okay, but is it really that hard though? Like, I don't know. Like, I've had offers to kind of go do some things as well, and like I'm like, fuck, I could probably do that. Fucking sling some shirts. And
I mean, is it that hard to just okay, putting it in your words, is it that hard to just sling some shirts? No. Is it a difficult job to like be a professional merchandise manager? Yes, actually. I have so much respect for the merch people that work with us, because there's more into it than what people, again, just like everything else on tour, there's way more into it than just what people are seeing like at the shows. You know, at the show, you see the display and the person behind the table selling the shirts and stuff like that. But when you're a professionally touring merchandise manager, you also have to be an accountant,
I'm not that.
A retail manager. Like, dude, I can't tell. Like, when I was a full-time merch manager, like, and I'll wrap up the story. So I worked for this one band for a few years, and the way I learned everything was I started as their merch manager and lighting director. And instead of expanding their crew every time they talked about getting a new position, I was like, I'll do that too. So at one point, I was the merch manager, lighting director, bass tech, drum tech, and pyrotechnician.
So you're chewing off more than you could eat, or whatever my stupid fucking term was for that.
Yes. But that allowed me to learn so much about everything, to the point where, like, I am confident at this point in my career, I could do any job on the road except for audio. Like, I've never gotten into audio. I would never like audio engineers are nerds, dude. And I mean that in a very like respectful, endearing way. Like, the amount of knowledge, it like physics, dude. Like, the amount of knowledge that some good audio engineers have, when I hear them talk about audio, it's like listening to like an astronomer talk. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like,
make it sound good. I'm going over here now.
Yeah, like, I can tell you if something sounds good or not, but I don't know. Like, I watch front of house guys walk around rooms and calculate like the angles of the walls and how far they are from front of house and like the hertz and everything. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, but when I stopped working for that first band I was working for, I started doing merchandise for like arena-sized bands. And that's when I learned really fast. Like, dude, I would finish my day and then spend the next 2 to 3 hours. Like, the second I get on the bus, let's say at midnight,
start
later at times, I'm on my computer for the next 2 hours doing all the accounting for the shows and projections for the next shows and reorders for merchandise that we need. Like, it's wild, dude. Like, there's so much more work into that's why I've always said a good merchandise manager on the road is worth their weight in gold, because at the end of the day, if you think about it too, a merchandise manager is the only person on your crew that is actually generating your band income instead of just being an expense. Because a tour manager, a guitar tech, an audio engineer, a lighting director, those are all expenses. A merch manager, while you have to pay them, is actually generating income for your business, because they're at the table all night selling merchandise. They're keeping on top of orders, making sure you're stocked. Like, and having having a good trustworthy merchandise manager too. You know your money's safe. You're not going to worry about anybody ripping you off, because I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where people have hired merch managers that are just skimming money under the table the whole time.
$20 here, like, slide it in your pocket, and it's a lot of it's cash, and that's sad to hear for sure. So I've been in situations too where I'm like, I'm not a large guy, but like I like my extra large shirts, and for sure. I've been to shows where it's like, we don't have extra large shirts anymore. I was like, you just opened, like, where's all the shirts? So, and
it
might not be for that, but
no, two things go into that though, in my opinion, is unexpected sales and poor planning. Like, really, like, a professional merch manager will do projections on the road. They will take all of their numbers of averages of what's been sold every night in each size, and they'll project out how much they need for that whole tour.
That makes
Good
sense.
merch managers will also know Certain city, this is going to sound horrible, but it's funny. Certain cities in North America are known for having larger and smaller sizes in the crowd. Like if we're playing shows in the South, we're selling XL and double XL t-shirts. It's a thing. Like, so you got to kind of be aware of that. And that's why whenever I see stuff that has sold out, I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Like we kind of ran into this with Electric Callboy at the festivals we just did. Like within a day, we were almost sold out of all the merch that they had shipped there because not on their end, not poor planning. They just didn't expect to sell what they did. Like, and that happens to bands sometimes. Like festivals are not big merch days for bands usually.
No,
like no, because it's a festival. There's 100 bands there. The festival usually has their own t-shirt that they're contracted to say, like, we can have all the bands on our t-shirt, but then the other bands can't have it. You know, they can't have their own tour shirt here.
See, I don't go to, we don't have festivals here in Toronto or like Canada. So
yeah. And then a lot of bands are limited at festivals too, to only like 2 or 3 shirts, even if you're like a headliner. So festivals are not big income generators for merchandise for bands usually. It's usually like the festival that sells the most stuff. So
yeah, the fact they're selling like spots, camping stuff, like water vendors and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see that being.
But not only just that, I'm talking like specifically the t-shirts and stuff. Like if somebody goes to Welcome to Rockville, they usually want a t-shirt from the festival that has all the bands on the back of it rather than just buying one band's shirt. So yeah, it was kind of crazy to see that like merch sales for Electric Callboy at those were so well because, and I'm not talking like a shit ton of money or anything. I'm just talking like for what is normal at a festival, they were out of that amount of merch like so fast because they were like, wow. Like there were many moments on this tour that it really hit me like this band is on everybody's radar now. Like even when we played Sonic Temple, dude, like the amount of other artists from other bands that came to the side of the stage when Electric Callboy was playing, like I turned around at one point and saw some people that I was like, what the fuck is that person doing here? And like they were all there to watch the show.
That's sick.
So it was crazy, man. It was like, you know, it's fun to be, going back to what I was saying, it's fun to be a part of something like this while this band is growing.
I think that's maybe why you have like a little bit more passion for this as well, instead of touring with all these bigger, famous, you know, gigs that you've had in the past. But it's like, this is as much as like, you know, we all see Electric Callboy like blowing up and they're a big metal band for us to kind of listen to. But it's like, for you, it's like, this is your baby now kind of thing. And you're watching it grow, you're growing with it. And it's so exciting to be a part of something that's like flourishing and like having so much passion for it, I think, in a way.
And imagine how they feel. I mean, dude, people look at bands right now like Electric Callboy and Lorna Shore and stuff like that, and they're like, wow, these are new bands that came out of nowhere. I'm like, no, the reality is these bands have been around for more than a decade.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think that what you were saying too, it's like working for some of these bigger established like arena and stadium bands when I was younger, it was awesome, but you weren't a part of the growing years. Like you were, I came in when they were already established and that was already huge. Yeah. So now being a part of an organization like this while they're still like growing and stuff, it makes it more fun. And I've always said like the second this job, like in general, being a roadie, the second it stops being fun and it actually feels like work is when I'm like done. And luckily I haven't had that yet. Actually, I have had that a couple times, and then I just stop working for those bands and go work for somebody else.
I'm bored now. I need a challenge again.
Yeah, and I mean, a big part of that too is like personalities on the road. Like you got to think. I always joke and say that being a roadie, it's like 30% of your job is actually knowing how to do your job well, and the other 70% is being a decent person because. The second you finish not only do you have to work with people all day, the second you finish a show, you get on a bus with people that you're spending more time with than your, you know, family. So I've seen guys, I mean, I've seen guys in this industry that are undoubtedly some of the best at their jobs that you could imagine, like the best front of house guys, the best lighting directors. But if they're a sack of shit person, nobody wants to be around them, and inevitably they'll get fired because You have to have people around you that you can, at the very least, tolerate being around.
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of,
so how do you set like boundaries for that? Like you just tell people like straight up, like, here's what the rules are, this and that, like just follow them, we'll get along just fine? Or is it like do you find like a lot of people are hiring friends that they kind of like more or less trust? Or
I mean, it all depends on the situation. Like,
because I've been in situations where I've seen like the band working the merch table, and I'm like, why are you out here? Where's your merch guy? And they're like, they're not here. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it all depends. I mean, with our crew specifically right now, like, yeah, there's a few people that came in later, but then there's a few people that also have known these guys for the whole time they've been a band.
Yeah.
And I will say it like takes a while to find that right chemistry of a crew and a band that just clicks. Cause like I said, I've been on tours where we've had guys that are great at their jobs, but the second they walk in a room, everybody wants to leave because nobody wants to be around them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him, like, has there ever been someone that's like, guy walks in, like, all right, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, this is the first tour I've ever been on where that has not been a thing ever.
That's good. Like, that's like half the battle as well.
Yeah,
it's awkward.
There's always been at least one or two people on every tour that like I will not hang out with when we're not working. Like, because whether it's because you got to think, man, people are really opinionated, especially nowadays time and age, about politics and religion and all this other stuff. And you get all these personalities and all these different opinions and people from different backgrounds. And sometimes they just don't mesh.
Yep.
And like tensions build, and, you know, some people have negative attitudes where they just kind of bring everybody else down. And it's like, you don't want those people in your crew because you want your crew morale to be good. And this is like, again, I can't say this enough because of it speaks to the character of not the band, but not only the band, but the crew. Like, it's the first tour I've ever done where like there's been none of that. There's never been one time where I've seen people try to avoid each other or be annoyed with people. Like, it's great. And that is very hard to find for any band, regardless of how big or popular or how much money they have. Like, it is hard to find that good crew and band chemistry that is just 100% perfect. And 18 years of touring, this is the first time I've seen it.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad. And that's the thing, is like now you can trust them on the next tour. Like, I think you were saying like you're off to Germany now, or what's the next tour? Like, what's going on next for Electric Callboy? What's the next gig?
Summer festival season in Europe. So
in Europe, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is no, it's not like tour. Like, summers in Europe are crazy compared to North America because there are so many festivals everywhere that there's not really a lot of tours going on. It's more everybody's hitting the festival circuit. So I fly out to Germany in 2 or 3 days. I think 2, 3, I don't know, somewhere. Sunday,
what day is it today?
I don't even know. I actually asked my wife a little while ago. She said something and I was like, wait, is today Thursday? I thought it was Wednesday. Like, what's going on? Yeah, I fly out to Germany in a couple days, and then we have like Sweden Rockfest, and then Rock am Ring, Rock im Park, and then Download in the UK, and then Grass Pop in Belgium. Like, there's so much going on this summer, but those are the first stops. And then past that, like after the summer ends, like there's nothing on the actual schedule. Like, I have a tentative itinerary that they've given me, you know, but it's like nothing has been officially announced.
Right.
So, you know, and those things can change. So I guess the real answer is after August of this summer, like, I actually don't know what we're for sure going to be doing other than, you know, they're in the studio recording the new album, which that's, you know, common knowledge. So at some point they're going to release an album, which means we're probably going to be on the road a lot. But yeah, the real answer is after August. I really don't know exactly what we're doing yet.
So what do you do on off time? Is this kind of like a school teacher kind of thing where it's like you have the summer off, you don't really do anything, or is it like now it's like prep for everything else to come type deal?
Yeah, it all really depends on what we got going on. Like when I come back, so a lot of the times when I go to Europe, I actually stay over there. So I actually stay in an apartment in their hometown in Castro.
Like, I've seen one of your vlogs when you're staying with them.
But if we have an extended time off, I come home. So I'll be home all of July, and our family, we're gonna take a trip to go visit Claire, my wife's parents. It'll be Ingrid's first time on a plane, so we're kind of curious to see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then I go back over there in August, and then come back after that. It all really just depends, man. Like,
Understandable.
if at some point they say we have a tour coming up in September or October, that means, yeah, if I'm home, I'll just be working on that, you know.
Totally makes sense, man. All right, let's steer away from a lot of the Electric Callboy stuff for a second.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of like wrap out and kind of like not like so much wrap out, but we'll kind of vibe out to this one for a minute. But like, want to talk about a little bit of the YouTube game. I mean, I know you've been super busy with Electric Callboy, as you've already spoken a lot about. And I just kind of want to know what your thoughts are. Like, what's going on with YouTube? What's your plans for it? Like, is this? I mean, I know you're doing things here and there. But I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, do you think like the reaction game's dying? Like, do you think like the content is like slowed down a lot? Like, what's your opinion overall? I guess
YouTube's in a weird place right now to me.
Yeah.
Like, I think post-pandemic, with everybody like working full time again and everybody getting back out and stuff like that, it's like you can clearly see it in the views and stuff at times. Like views are definitely, and it's not just like me or reactors; it's like everybody across the board.
Well, there was a bunch of YouTubers that were like literally quitting. Like,
like, I mean, that could also be potentially burnout. Like a lot of the people that were quitting are people that have been doing it for like a decade. And even for me, like I've only been doing it for 4 years, and there's been many times where I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. Just cause it's like,
oh shit, I didn't know that.
You get kind of burned out and you hit a wall. Like, you know, that's kind of why I got away from doing reactions all the time, is because I didn't necessarily think reactions were dying out by any means, because I don't think they are. Like, there's still definitely successful reactors and stuff, but for me, it got kind of tedious, where I was like, I want to do something different with my content, and that's why I started doing more music industry related stuff. But YouTube in general, man, I just don't know. Like, again, views are down all across the board, unless you're like fucking Mr. Beast or something.
Where you have $3 million to throw into a video.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I don't think also that it's as lucrative as people think it is. Like, I think people see a YouTuber, once they hit that like 100,000 subscriber mark, I think everybody's like, oh, they're making bank. That is 100% not true.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing a pity party. Like,
oh, there's some people that have 50,000 subscribers and make a
I
guess it depends on your niche if you're talking about that, but reaction world, it's probably not likely.
Reaction world, I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, the money that I've made from YouTube basically like pays for my bills, which is great. I'm very thankful for that, but like nothing else. It's like, we're not exceeding luxury by any means. We're not saving anything. And I think even for me, I've kind of realized, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't think this YouTube thing is going to last forever. That's why I'm kind of like getting back into touring, and I've been making connections in other places. Like, I have a couple potential job offers with like record labels and stuff like that I've been kind of entertaining. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. YouTube for me is like let's make the best of it while it's going, and then see what happens. 'Cause I mean, like you said, there's people quitting, there's new people starting all the time. YouTube is all about how you can keep people's attention. And if you let that attention go, I've seen it in my views, dude. It's like when I'm on tour, I have no time to do content. And that algorithm, when you're not posting content, will just decide, okay, this person's done. Like, so it's, YouTube really has to be a full-time job if you want to keep doing it. And unfortunately for me right now, it's kind of hard to balance tour managing and cranking out content. And the tour management thing is more important to me. So
yeah, the passion is there more for that. I can see it.
So the content will probably suffer for a while. But I don't know. Like, you know, so social media is so volatile too. Like, you don't know what the next, you know, big thing is going to be. And like my dad, when I first started YouTube, my dad was like, you know, he's like, this isn't going to last forever, dude. And at the time I was like, you know, cause he goes, think about it. He goes, think of how many social media platforms just come and go. And I was like, yeah, but you know, with YouTube, it's a little different. Like, we got to admit that. Like,
And they're making
YouTube's
changes to still be within
yeah,
competition.
YouTube's been a staple for almost 20 years now, and
Yeah.
I think it will continue to be. Like, I don't see it like, you know, Vine getting replaced by Instagram or anything like that. But there are a lot of things on the platform that, you know, we've been talking about, and I say we, I mean other YouTubers, like they're pushing shorts so hard now because they want to compete with TikTok and you know, the game is changing, and I just don't know how much longer I will be a part of that game. Not because I'm going to stop or anything, but because I just don't know how long I can keep relevance with everything going on. It's like, I don't know. In my head, I'm just like, 5 years from now, when I'm in my 40s, are people really gonna like? Are the kids gonna want to watch a 40-year-old dude talking about music? And maybe, I mean, Rick Beato does good.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I think I've watched a couple of his videos as well.
Yeah,
There's
but
is that the guitar tech guy? He brings on like Van Halen guitarists and
no,
talks
he's actually really like a notable producer. So he's
okay.
worked with a lot of people, and he has a lot of connections. And
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's just such a weird space right now that it's like, I mean, I just don't know what's gonna happen.
I think the cool thing is as well, it's like obviously you have like your stuff with Electric Callboy and like growing within like other labels and stuff or whatever you got going on there or entertaining. Like I think it's just cool that like we still have something that like we can come back to and post something, because like we did fall in love with this at some point. So it's like it might be nice to just come back to be like, yeah, you know, one of my favorite bands just dropped a song, and like, you know, you get to check it out and make some content on it and refresh on it. But I think you're right. A lot of people are burnt out. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't, I guess, adapting to the TikTok shorter content kind of vibe. Where it's like me, it's like I love it, I feed for it, and like I don't have a passion for anything else. That's the thing.
See, that's funny. I personally I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not good at short form content. That's like I'm not good at it at all. I do my better work when I'm doing longer form videos, but for somebody like you and some of the other YouTubers I know are like crushing short form content. It is good for growth and stuff like that. But the big thing for me is retaining the viewers from that growth. I mean, dude, you can put out a short that gets millions of views and gets you tons of subscribers, but if those people aren't coming back to watch your actual content, then those numbers are just numbers.
Exactly.
I think one of the more polarizing people in our community of like music YouTubers, Finn McKenty. I don't think people realize how smart that dude actually is when it comes to like the business of YouTube.
I've never really had a conversation with him. I don't really talk to him. I know who he is. He might know who I am, but that's probably about it. But
if you look at his content, he has a lot of the same topics over and over, a lot. And years ago when I started YouTube, I would have thought like, oh, it's lazy. He's just like rehashing the same content. Now knowing what I know about YouTube, I'm like, it's kind of genius because his mentality, the way it seems to me, is more like give the people what they want rather than make the content that I want. So that's like, he's always on the hot topics of everything. He's like
Nick
made
does that
similar
too.
videos. Yeah, made similar videos about similar things. And the funny thing is like, I've been given a hard time about that lately because when the whole drama with like Slipknot's new drummer was happening, I had like 4 videos about that topic. And there were some people that were like, why do you keep making videos about this? I'm like, because that's what people want right now.
Yeah,
like
the SEO is prime for that.
Yeah, every time I post a video about Slipknot's drummer, it crushes. And it's like, I saw a comment recently where people are like, wow, you're really riding this Electric Callboy thing, like in all your content. I was like, why not?
I work for them. It's
like,
my life.
I work for them. People want to see it. Like, yeah. I was like, of course I will. Like, I have no shame in that because as I said with Finn, it's like I've started getting to that point where I was like, okay, yeah, there might be content I want to make, but like, what do people actually want to watch? They want to see the vlogs from tour. They want to hear how the tour experiences go. They want to hear the backgrounds of what it's like to tour with certain bands. It's like, that is kind of why I started getting away from reactions and doing that, is because I was scared, dude. When I stopped doing reactions full time and started doing more of those like behind the scenes industry video stuff, I was terrified because I was like, the reactions were going well and I didn't know how I was going to do. And after a while, I started noticing, I'm like, dude, these videos are doing better than most of the reactions. So I was like, that's what people want. So yes, there are still a lot of people out there that are like asking me why I'm not doing reactions, and they're begging me to check out new stuff when it comes out, but it's not as many as the people that say they like the industry stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and here's the here's the bummer part that I know you can relate to.
Okay.
A band you're into releases a new single. You do a reaction to it. It's a banger of a song. You love it. You're happy with the video. You release it, fucking tanks. Like, fucking, like, it's like a couple thousand views, and you're like, man, I was so happy with this video, and I put so much time into it, and like, that's not what people wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, I think a lot of YouTubers like to blame a lot of things on other factors. Like, well, the algorithm didn't push it, or the SEO wasn't on for this one, or whatever. It's like, no, I mean, when it all comes down to it, the content is king.
Yeah.
If people didn't want to watch it, they're not going to watch it. That's really what it is.
I think I felt that way with the whole Knock Loose, Chris Motionless, Slaughterhouse 2 thing. Like, I did that video, and like the first Slaughterhouse song has like over 100,000 views on it. It did very well. I had so much fun with it. You know, ripped my shirt, fucking hot dogs in my mouth, everything, the whole kit and caboodle. And it's like, I kind of did like an upper sized one for that, for the second one, you know, bigger hot dogs, 360 cam. Like, I wanted to go a little bit more out for it. And it's like, and then it only got like 12,000 views. And don't get me wrong, I love how I still have like at least like that many people watching and like really wanted to see it. But it's like, yeah, that's what you're talking about. It's like a video that I was like so stoked out to check out, do some really fun content with it. I had popcorn, man, and I punched the bowl. I had a popcorn camera and it went up in slow motion. Like, production wise for me, I love it. So it's like to see a video like that, like not do as well as I thought it was going to do it. Yeah, it kind of hurts for sure.
And that could be a lot of different things. It may not even, in that case, it may not have been the content. It could have been, like we were just talking about, people just didn't want to watch it. Like, reactions are going down a little.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's like content fatigue kind of thing. Like, I feel like a reaction thing is like a fatigue kind of thing. And I think that's why I'm like trying to shift into different kinds of content. And I'm listening to a book right now by Gary Vaynerchuk. He just dropped one. It's called like Day Trading Attention or something like that. And it's very good on that and like talking about different platforms and stuff. But it's like, he's like, switch up your content. Like, people are just tired of seeing the same shit over and over again. So I'm like thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe now I got to get into these skits and stuff and like kind of like put my attention on stuff, what people want to see. It's like, you know, do the whole TikTok trend of like, here's my 5 top bands of the week kind of thing that have Bless in it, like kind of wrap it around with my own stuff that I have and then see what that does. But it's like the format, it's like people want to see different things and different sides of people, different angles, different lighting and stuff. So I'm thinking of like doing some other things like that. I have a 360 cam that I want to get experimental with. Like, fuck, like I want to go for a bike ride and do like some cool shots. I love video and stuff. So it's like, maybe, you know, do some weird things like that. So
do you ever, and I don't mean to put like,
no, give her
a thought in your brain or anything and make you overthink. Do you ever think that maybe it's too much?
In terms of how much content I post?
No. Production value.
Oh, I've had those thoughts plenty of times. Like Ronnie Radke reacted to my one video, and as much as like I wasn't affected by it, I was affected by it.
No, it makes you think no matter what.
And he like yelled at, he was like, "Bro, chill on the fucking editing. You're gonna give me a fucking seizure." And it's like, I kind of like played around with that as well as for content, but it's like, I see that and I'm like, I've dialed down a lot on it. I think it's more for short form content to like hook people, to keep their attention, flashy things, reset their mind a little bit for that half a second to keep them a little bit longer. And it's a weird science thing when it comes to like mindset like that. So do I think it's too much? That's why I feel like I've even cut down on a lot of the video. I know you've even said it from the beginning. It's like a lot of people are like posting too much video. And me, I was posting like 2 to 3 full videos every single day on YouTube, full videos. and they were doing great. And then like I started seeing my numbers go down and stuff, and I really want to push these bands. So like now it's like I condensed it to like, all right, let's just do a compilation. Like I love checking out these bands. This is why I got into this. I'm still down to my roots and stuff like that, and pushing out the content in it. If it's a really good breakdown and stuff, like it should do very well and get this band heard. So, and I also have a team. So like I have an editor. I have a guy that runs through my emails and stuff like that. And I pay these guys to do this so I can, widen out everything that I have going on. And I have all these big things and ideas that I want to do. And yeah, it is a lot, but I think it's just, you have to like fall in love with the process to like go through it, even if it's going to go up and down. But I think what gets me excited is just getting kind of like refocus on my creativity, I guess. Like I love being creative with my videos. So I think of it as a challenge, like yourself. It's like you might get bored with doing something. It's like, let's try something else and challenge yourself a little bit more. So I think that's why I like the content game a lot. And I understand the mindset of people and how their minds work. And as much as like it's my first reaction on a song, it's like I feel like there's got to be, the hook before the breakdown. There's this and that, and like that call to action to be like, fuck yeah, this band slaps, get on your playlist kind of thing. And it's like,
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's all about being fulfilled by the content you're making too. Like, I can tell you right now, I've never had more enjoyment editing videos and working on videos than when I started doing like the vlogs from being on the road with the GoPro stuff. Like, I've never had more fulfillment from my own content than when I started doing that. Like no reaction video, no nothing has ever made me feel as good as doing those, because I was proud of it. I was happy with it. But yeah, I mean, you got to find what works. I think every content creator needs to find what works for them. Like to me, you have definitely built that. Like everybody knows now at this point, it's like your fucking editing and stuff like that is like crazy over the top. Like I'm not in a bad way. It's just like, I know what I'm going to get when I watch one of your videos.
Yeah.
And that works for you.
And it's for the right person too. I know there's a lot of people that won't watch my content for it, but it's like, I've noticed that as well. So like I've cut back on it. So it's like, a couple camera shakes here and there, but like even that, and why I do that is like, it's honestly come down to like how much time I have in a day now. It's like, and how much content's going out. So it's like, boom, there's stuff dropping all the time, but I have like 15 backlog videos that I got to get out, and concerts that I'm going to. So it's like, I kind of like having the fucking like maybe not one, but like maybe 3 to 5 videos a week that I'm kind of putting out now. And that's very low for me. And I know you know this, but it's like, I feel good about that. And I've had conversations with other people that have been helping other channels and stuff like that. And they've even said, like, let your channel breathe for a minute. And I know you've been saying this for years and stuff.
I mean, and I only say that from personal experience. Like when I first started during the pandemic, I was doing a video a week, or sorry, a video a day.
Yeah.
Like 7 videos a week. And then I eventually got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to stop doing them. I'm going to stop doing them on Sundays. And then I'm going to stop doing them on Saturdays. And now I've finally gotten to a point that like when I'm home and I'm not touring, it's like my content schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like that's it. And I do think, again, every content creator and how they do their videos and how much they upload is individual for them. But for me, I actually saw an uptick in numbers when I stopped posting as much, because like some of my favorite content creators, I get excited when I see one of their videos drop. Like they don't post all the time. There's something to be said about that waiting. So like one of my favorite YouTubers that I follow is this guy with a channel called My Name is Bife. And all of his videos are just Destiny, the video game, like lore content. That's it.
Oh shit.
I listen to that shit nonstop. And he doesn't post daily. He posts maybe a couple times a week, something like that. But every day I find myself checking his channel to see if a new video's out. And then there have been some like content gaps where like a week goes by and I'm like, when the fuck is he going to drop a video? And then when that video drops, I like stop everything I'm doing and I go watch it.
Yeah.
So I think there is something to be said about like the oversaturation and maybe building that anticipation for the people that want to watch. Like, dude, I'll tell you right now, like, and let's be honest, like anything related to Electric Callboy reaction wise always slams. But like I hadn't released a video in a while and recorded that, reaction to RATATATA in the hotel room in Japan and posted it. and that was my first post in like 2 weeks. And I mean, that thing was over 100,000 views in 24 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
and,
That's good numbers.
like,
That was like my flying in reverse video.
Like, I live premiered it when I was at a layover at an airport. I was sitting at a Chili's at the Minneapolis airport and did a live premiere. And there was like 2,000 people in that live premiere. And that were like, it's like, oh, Tank hasn't had a video in a while. So I think for me, that anticipation of like, oh, he hasn't posted, like, let's check this out. Like that helps in certain situations. And even in terms of editing, for me, it's like, I've never come close to the scale that you have. Like, I think for my personality and the way I've always done videos is like as raw as possible has always been the best. Like, I've never done a lot of edits, and I've never done like, you know, before we started this, we talked, it's like the amount of camera and video knowledge that you have just dwarfs mine. I don't know anything about this camera. Like, I just know how I turn it on and it works.
Yeah, you
like,
asked me about my lens, and I'm like, yo, get this lens, and then you did.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the lens that I use is off of your recommendation, but yeah, I think just specifically for me, it's always worked best to just go super raw with minimal edits and stuff like that. And there's kind of something like cute and funny about how I don't really know what I'm doing.
of course. Yeah, dude. Dude, I think I like use my edits as a crutch sometimes. At least at the beginning, like that's the thing. It's like I saw everybody kind of doing what they were doing, and I had like a little bit of background of like video game editing and stuff. So like moving stuff around, this and that, cropping shit in. And it's like, yeah, like that. I just wanted to stand out. Like I wasn't a pro singer or a guitar player or anything. And I'm like, but I love graphic design. I love having that. Like that's my art in a way. And like filming and stuff. So it's like I used it as a crutch for a while, man. I'm like, and I kind of let my ego kind of get in the way with that as well. It's like I love a lot of the reactors that are out there. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like some of these I'm watching like they just have the box in the corner and they're just fucking headbanging. It's like no, we need the logo up. We need the song name. We need to like stop. We need to cut that out. And like I just wanted to stand out. And I think it helped a little bit maybe at the beginning, but obviously pandemic was definitely a huge crutch for a lot of us. But it's crazy to see. But like now I find myself dialing back and just, I don't know. I want to make content and I more than just like the funny edits and stuff, but it helps a little bit.
I mean, you know, and this is nothing against the way you've been doing it. Cause like I said, the second I watch one of your videos and pull it up, I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but sometimes people like the less is more laid back, like
for sure. Like, sometimes I do too.
Like, dude, right now, just me and you sitting like this talking, like, I think that's why people enjoy podcasts is because we have these real conversations and we just sit and there's going to be, well, I don't know, maybe with your podcast, there is going to be crazy edits and shit. I don't know, but
no, I don't even have
fucking zooming in on the face and stuff. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I think too, so many people are doing like over the top edits now that it's like when I saw your reactions like in the pandemic when you were doing crazy stuff, I was like, oh yeah, nobody else is doing this. Like nobody's editing like this.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of common that every time I watch a video, it's like I see crazy zooms and lens shakes and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just become such a normal thing now that it's like.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like I've seen people and I've watched other reactors as well, like kind of like adapt to a little bit of it and like the zoom ins and whatever they're doing, even some of the formats and that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I feel like as much as like, I'm not saying like they're copying, but like I feel like it kind of ups the value and I'm kind of glad. I feel like maybe I did like start it a little bit in the reaction scene, but then there's other reactors that don't do metal that kind of do kind of similar stuff.
Let's be honest. When it comes to content creators, like, we're all, I don't want to say copying or ripping off, but we're all pulling influences from other people, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like you can't say that there's never been a time where you've seen somebody edit a video in a certain way or do something in a certain way. We're like, oh, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it. I think everybody's done it.
Or when a breakdown comes on, you do the whole Nick Nocturnal smash kind of thing. Like it's like you've watched someone's content a couple times. They're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. But like, yeah, and you kind of adapt. I think people need to go through that kind of stuff, though. I think you need to kind of borrow some ideas, try it, and if you like it, kind of thing, then you kind of form your own stuff. Like at the beginning, like we all kind of like taking the staple of like say like the OGs, like Truon or like Galactic Criminal or Nick Nocturnal and Alex Hefner, and it's like, yeah, and then just kind of make it into your own. I think it's a good
Exactly.
way.
I mean, dude, it's the same thing with music, man. Like every artist that's ever existed under the sun has taken influence from somebody else and made it their own thing. You can take influence from tons of other things and adapt it into what works for you and then leave out all the rest.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing goes with content creation. It's like you find what can work for you from the influences from other people, and then you leave out the rest because, like you said, there is a fine line between like pulling influences and then just ripping somebody off. And I've been accused of it where I've maybe said something in a video and they're like, "Oh, Nick Nocturnal said the same thing." And the funny thing is when it comes to reactions specifically, a lot of us are actually filming these things and editing at the same time before anybody's released a video.
Yeah.
And then the canon becomes whoever released it first. So
that's
like
who you're copying.
Yeah. So it's like, I know for sure there's been times where like, I've been sitting on a video for like a week, like waiting to release it. And then somebody else releases a reaction and then ends up saying the same thing in their reaction that I said in mine about something. But because they release theirs first, then I get comments that are like, "Oh, you clearly watched so-and-so's before you did yours because they said the same exact thing." And I was like, well, a lot of content creators are filming and editing at the same time and releasing later. And also, people can have similar thoughts about things. Like,
true.
That happens a lot. Like,
I've seen even titles as well, like where it's been like almost word for word sometimes, but it's within like 20 to 30 minutes apart of like posting from one content creator to another. And it's like, and I know we all kind of like, we see it in our feed if we do that feed kind of search and stuff like that. But like, if it's like me and like I have something similar, it's like, oh fuck, I gotta fucking change it. Like, I don't want people to think that this and that. But
when it comes to reactions specifically, it's also fascinating to me to see what people notice and what they don't notice. Like, I've had people ask me, they're like, "You've never seen this video before. How did you notice that?" I was like, just, I don't know. Like, I did. It just, I can't explain how, but I did.
Yeah.
But then I watch reactions to other things where people don't notice things, or they say something so like crazy to me that I'm like, what? Like, a perfect example, and I'll call them out because I love them, but I love giving them a hard time. A Breakdown with Johnny and Nath.
Okay.
They did a reaction to RATATATA that was posted like last night while I was at my computer, and I turned it on. And like their first pause in the video, they're like, I wonder if that's like the actual like band in the background, or if they just got like actors to like dress and play instruments and stuff like that. I'm like, what? I'm like, how the fuck have you guys reacted to this band like 30 times and you can't recognize that that's the actual band? Like, so it's funny to me where but I realize that's a focus thing. That's up to that first minute of the video, they were looking at the foreground of the girls and Nico and Kevin and stuff like that and not really paying attention. So it's just always, that's why I still watch some reactions, because it's fascinating to me to see what some people notice. Like there are things that I didn't notice the first time I watched something, and then I watch another reaction and the person noticed it right away. And I'm like, fuck, how did I not see that?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So,
but it's so relatable as well to like other people that are watching, like our regular viewers. And I think that's why people watch consistently like different reactions or channels and stuff. So
no, and I do. I think that's why, like, you know, early on when I started YouTube, I had a very competitive mindset because I kind of surrounded myself. Yeah, well, I surrounded myself with people that also had that, and it probably wasn't good mentally. And so for like the first year of me doing YouTube, I just thought, I looked at this whole thing as a competition. I was like, I need more views than everybody else. I need more subs than all these other reactors. Like if my reaction got more views than this other person, I'm fucking better. And then it just hit me how dumb that was, because
100%.
There's so much internet to go around. Like I'll tell you right now, like if somebody, especially with the songs that go viral, like your Demolishers and To the Hellfires and We Got the Moves and stuff like that, it's like, if a person watches my reaction or your reaction or somebody else's, they're not going to be like, well, I've seen theirs, so I don't need to watch anymore. No, they're going to watch more because they want to see other people's reactions. So like once I realized that, I was like, this isn't a competition, dude. Like people are going to watch multiple videos. They're not going to just watch one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had so much more fun on YouTube when I stopped looking at it as a competition and started actually making friends and like having fun,
connecting with people like this.
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy. But yeah, I know what you mean. Even the Falling in Reverse one, I'm like, oh shit, because like I listened to Falling in Reverse like back then and like Escape the Fate vibes and I'm like, I picked up the exact breakdown. I'm like, no, that's a recycled version of Champions by Falling in Reverse, and it was like the exact like and everyone was like, oh shit, I didn't fucking notice that, and no one, and then they even comment like no one else caught that. I'm like, but it's also to show like, you know, you have a little bit of knowledge and stuff, and you actually pay attention to these kind of things, and it's wild. But like, I love connecting with people, like the friendship that I made with like even like Metal Burb, like we've done like. I don't know if you saw, we did like a campfire podcast. Like I literally ripped my fucking studio apart and like I set it all up around a campfire with my big fucking lights and everything. And we just sat there for like 3 hours just chatting. And it was awesome. I had a big bonfire and even Bogdan as well, seeing him at shows. I saw him last night. And it makes me sad as well that like even Nick Nocturnal's left and he's gone to Florida. And it's like.
Yeah, he's going to be a Florida man.
There's a lot of people leaving Canada. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, the wild thing is actually like I feel right now that I have more connections in the music industry than I ever had, even when I was like touring full time pre-pandemic, because like I've done tons of podcast episodes with bands, or bands have seen me react to their stuff and stuff like that. And it's like, it's wild to me that it's like now that I'm back on tour, I'm running into people backstage at festivals and stuff that are like, oh dude, like, yeah, I watch your content. Cool. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, it was crazy. Like when we were at Sonic Temple, like I just happened to be walking by Nita Strauss backstage, and she's just like, "Oh, Tank," and we like stopped and talked, and I'm like, "That's so weird to me because it's like, who am I? You know what I mean? It's like you're this just absolute fucking guitar goddess. It's like you just walked off stage playing to fucking 30,000 people. Like I don't know. It's just crazy, man. Like." And it also makes me feel kind of awkward. Like one of the combining the YouTube life and the touring life, the thing that I kind of had, I think I may have kind of told you guys about this when I saw you, but like, I do not handle like public stuff well at all. I don't know what it is, but like,
what do you mean? Like you being in the public?
Yeah. Like if
you're not awkward at all. Like when we meet up, you're always like chill and stuff.
When we're on tour, I'm so in work mode that like, that's all I'm thinking about. But the Electric Callboy fans, a lot of them recognize me from the YouTube content, and everybody's like wanting to talk and all this stuff. And it's like, I have this conflict in my head where it's like, I kind of feel like an asshole because like, I'm not in YouTube mode. I'm in work mode right now. Yeah. And I don't have time to stop and talk to everybody and stuff like that. And I don't know, man. There seems to be like no separation with some people between YouTube and, you know, like Tank on tour. And
I think they're just excited to see you.
I get that. I understand that. It's just something that I'm struggling with, where it's like,
it's interesting.
Like, I never wanted to be, I don't know, and I don't consider I am, but it's like I never started YouTube or anything because I wanted to be like famous or notable or known or anything like that. So, and being a roadie my whole life, like I'm used to that
recognition.
I'm used to people not recognizing me. It's great. Like, but now I actually have gotten to a point that when we're doing like changeovers at shows, like, dude, I mean, I will say it was a wild moment, but like my first show I ever did in Germany with the band, like, I stepped on stage to help the crew do changeover, and like fucking half the crowd just started yelling. And I was like, this is, I don't know, man. It's probably something that I needed to just handle better, but it's like, I kind of feel weird sometimes. Like I feel like I haven't, it's like imposter syndrome. It's like, what have I done to actually deserve this? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just,
I mean, you do deserve it though. You've done so much, like, and it's crazy. I know it's hard to get around, and like, I get stopped at shows all the time, and I'm very grateful and thankful for it. And I think it's one of my favorite parts of like being in the crowd and like not behind stage. It's like I'll say hi to the bands quick if I have like a backstage, but it's like that's it. And I like being out front, and like even when I'm doing like press and stuff like that or content for filming and that, it's like I get people like at the rails and stuff and like call me over and say, oh, I love your video, fist pumps and all that stuff, and like I feel weird as well sometimes. And a lot of the people, actually, they don't even realize that I'm from Toronto as well. So they're like, oh, I didn't know you're a Canadian. I'm like,
I just assume every reactor is from Toronto.
Yeah, that's what I say to them. I'm like, fuck, I'm like, half the reactors are here. So,
like,
but
I really, like, I had a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in like years. He was working for one of the headlining bands at Sonic Temple, and we just walked off the bus and saw each other. And he's like, how's it feel being the most famous roadie on the planet now? And I was like, oh, dude. I was like, I'm definitely not. And he goes, maybe not in our circle in the industry, but he goes, to the general public, I would say so. He goes, you're like the first one of us that's been in like public eye as much as you are with like the YouTube content. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's just I don't know, man. I'm used to being the roadie that like I'm the one behind the scenes and the band is getting the attention. Like, it's just something I'm having to learn and struggle with as we go. And like, I don't know, like even when I go to concerts, like I just have a thing with crowds too. Like I don't even like being in crowds.
Yeah.
Like when I go to concerts in Nashville, like I go to venues that have balconies so I can just go up in the balcony and just watch the show and not be in the crowd.
That's what Nick did as well. Like I caught him outside once. He's like, yeah, if you ever want to say hi or something, like he's like, I'm always hiding up in the balcony.
Yeah.
So like I get it. Yeah. Or he's backstage, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I know it sounds weird to talk about. Well, maybe not to you because you also do YouTube, but people that will listen will probably not or think I'm sounding egotistical or something. But yeah, it's just something I've been struggling with. Like, I mean, dude, it happens at home. Like,
oh, you got recognized like outside of?
Oh, dude, Claire and I have gone to like the grocery store and like, it was a weird moment. Like we were putting our groceries in our car outside of a Publix once. And like, we had Ingrid with us. And like, I just like heard somebody behind me, like, are you TankTheTech? And I like turned around and there's these two people that were just like, dude, we love your videos. And I'm like, I was so off guard because I was like with my wife and my kid. And I was like, what is happening right now?
Don't look at the food I buy.
Yeah. Like it's just, I don't know, man. It's a weird feeling. Like, I guess, like I said, since I don't consider myself anybody of like notable importance in the public eye, like it's just weird when somebody like recognizes me in public.
Yeah, I've had it happen like maybe once. Like I was getting like my license renewed or something like that, and like someone caught me. There was a big lineup and stuff, and he walks over. He's like, are you Ohrion Reacts? I'm like, I didn't expect to see anybody here. And like, I'm in my hometown as well. So like, not a lot of people know where I'm from unless like I really know them or so like, I say Toronto, but I'm like outside of Toronto. So
yeah, for sure.
It's but, crazy. I mean,
it should be expected. Like I talked to the band about this and kind of told them and they're like, yeah, but they're like, it is what it is, dude. Like, I get it. Like I put my content online.
You're out there.
Like I'm out there. Like you know, it is what it is. It's just, I guess I just haven't caught up with like, I don't know, being comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I went to, what was it? The Ghost Inside. And I got to be like a fly on the wall, be like filming some stuff for their VIP and their whole show and stuff like that. I did an interview and that. And like I was just standing there just kind of filming and stuff, and like I felt bad. Like I actually had to leave like the VIP area because people started recognizing me and stuff like that and taking away from the band. And I'm like, I felt so bad. Like, yeah, I'm like, go over. I'm like, you pay lots of money to be here. Like I'll be out in the crowd. Like go hang out with the band right now. Like this is a great opportunity for you. Just go. So. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. I mean, like, I think we could like talk about this shit all day. I know you are a super busy guy, and I really do respect your time, and I really do appreciate it, man. But we'll kind of wrap this up, kind of land the plane with some stuff. I guess like if you got anything you want to say, any upcoming stuff with Electric Callboy, or anything that you got going on, or anything, why don't you kind of land the plane for us here?
No, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything going on. Like again, I leave for tour in a couple days, and the Electric Callboy guys have a bunch of dates in Europe this summer. And other than that, just going to be trying to do content when I can and just being dad and husband. And that's really about it. But dude, I super appreciate you having me on here, especially like as a content creator. It's nice sometimes to just jump on and do something with somebody and know that I don't have to edit or release anything and somebody else is doing it. So
I love that part.
yeah. Like,
And then before we came on, I was thinking, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now. But I'm like, he's only got like 3 more days. I got to do this. And
dude,
so I'm going to be good.
Don't kill yourself getting it out or anything. Like
I'll just bite more off than I can chew. So
yeah, there you go. Well, dude, thank you again. Seriously. I love sitting and talking, especially to other content creators about like stuff that's going on. And I know a lot of that was heavy into touring, but it's like, that's again, going back to like, that's where my focus is now instead of YouTube. Is
I love
just
it though.
On touring related stuff.
I love it. I honestly do, man. Well, why don't you tell people where they can find you, all your links and plugs and stuff. Go get this guy, man. He's got podcasts. He's out on tour. Just don't call him out when he walks on stage.
No, I guess. Yeah, I'm so not in content creator mode that I should have brought that stuff up. My handle on just about everything on social media is at TankTheTech. I mean, everything: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. The only place it's not is Facebook, because I think it's TankTheTech official, and I hate having names like that, but I had to do it because there's
the check mark issue.
There's a guy on Facebook that already had TankTheTech, and he's a cell phone repair dude from Chicago. That's his business. I guess that's his like in-house business name. Is like his nickname is Tank, and he's a phone repair dude and TankTheTech.
Have you talked to him?
No, I haven't. But what's funny is that a lot of bands in the early days of my content stuff were like tagging me on Facebook at TankTheTech, and it was just tagging this random cell phone repair guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Like I have had some other. It's real quick though, because you just put it in my brain. I have had some other channels that have similar names. Like there was a guy once that I think his channel is called The Tech Tank. And it's like tank as in like fish tank, but he's like, he just talks about tech and gadgets and stuff. And he wasn't like mean or rude, but he did send me an email once, like a couple years ago. It was like, hey, your channel name is very similar to mine and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, what's your point? Like,
there's only so much, there's only so many words in the dictionary here.
Yeah, it's like, what are you getting at right now? Like, that I ripped off your channel? Like it never came of anything, but like, yeah. It's like, I sometimes wonder if like, cause I got TankTheTech on every other social platform except for Facebook. So I'm like wondering, maybe this guy's thinking I'm going to reach out someday and like offer him money to buy that name or something like for Facebook, which I won't. I don't care that much. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I don't even like Facebook. I don't even use it half the time, but it's kind of funny that like, that's the one thing that I was not able to reserve like TankTheTech on.
That's funny. That's too funny, man. It's not like you had like your own fish tank thing as well. It's like you're totally two different like video content.
Yeah, it's kind of funny,
but wild.
But yeah, so to everybody listening, anything on social media is at TankTheTech, and YouTube is the same thing. YouTube.com/TankTheTech, and when I'm on tour, I'm pretty active on like Instagram and stuff, but that's really about it. And then I try and stream on Twitch when I can. I want to on my days off in Germany. The only problem is that internet in Germany is absolute fucking dog shit.
Oh, interesting.
It's like remarkably bad, dude. And it's kind of a joke in Germany that their internet is so bad.
I mean, okay, so like, maybe I shouldn't complain about my internet prices here in Canada. Then.
Yeah, like if you're in a major city, you're kind of okay, but like in Electric Callboy's hometown at the apartment that I have there, like, dude, there's no chance I'm streaming on Twitch. None.
Bro needs this fucking what's this called? Starlight or whatever? What's a
the Musk? Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink.
I need Elon Musk to hook me up with that Starlink while I'm in Germany.
I've seen some cool people do stuff like they go like van life and that, and they're like playing like computer games and stuff in the middle of the wild. I'm like,
it's some crazy wild like mobile internet stuff.
That's wild. That's
like,
wild.
I have a better time in Germany using the hotspot on my phone for my computer than actually like being hardlined into internet in my apartment.
That's awesome. Sorry, what does your chair say? Does that say Sabaton on the back?
It does.
Does it really? Yeah. I just saw it. I'm like, it looks like the Sabaton logo. I'm like, what the fuck?
So they did a partnership with this gaming chair company.
No way.
And I was in the market for a new gaming chair, and I just happened to look at reviews, and this company got really good reviews. And when I went on their website, I didn't even know they had done a collaboration with Sabaton, and it was on sale. So I was like, I like Sabaton, and
I thought they
good
sent
chair.
it to you or something. That's
No.
wild. That's
I bought
cool.
this. Like, I straight up, and it's got like camo on here and
Oh,
stuff.
I like that. Oh, fuck.
Dude, it is super comfortable. I will say that. Like, I'm so
mine's
happy
so
with this
squeaky
chair.
from like bashing it
Oh,
and
mine's
throwing it across
like-
my room.
Yeah, mine's
Its
a little
screws
squeaky
are
too,
falling
but-
out. I had to pick them up because I don't have a wrench to put it back in. So it
But no,
falls out
this
everything.
was not a Sabaton plug. Like, I actually paid full price for this chair.
That's wild. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Metal bands, start doing that stuff now.
Yeah, I know, right? There needs to be like more products, or you can be. I don't know. I've seen a lot of interesting merch products lately from other bands. So I don't think there's any lines or limits anywhere on what people can put out.
I think like what is it, Bro Job? I think they're putting out butt plugs with their name on it.
Yeah, I think Lord of the Lost released butt plugs recently.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's just went out wild.
Yeah. I was like, all right, cool. If that's your thing, why not? You
Sure,
know?
people like butt plugs.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if I should say this on a podcast, but I know there was another band. I think it was Guar, released an exclusive line of, we'll just say, phallic-shaped objects for personal use that they were selling for merch, and I saw that and I was like, that's wild. Like, that's a merch item I would never expect. But I mean, hey, if other bands are doing butt plugs, you know, what else?
Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't judge what other people are into. So
Not at all.
as long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Or is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some weird shit out there. But Tank, thank you so much for hanging out with us, dude. I really do appreciate it, guys. Go give him a follow. All the social medias are down in the description below. Go see what he's up to. Go follow along. Check out his vlogs, too. I mean, his reviews, his gear tech stuff is amazing. And I just love following him on Instagram and stuff and just seeing what he's up to. So, really good friend of mine as well. Love meeting him when I do get to see him at shows when I'm not. I mean, I don't yell at you or anything, but I respect your work time for sure. But hey, dude, thank you so much for coming on today, and safe travels and everything. That's awesome, man. You're doing awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it a ton.